I'm tired, but I hadn't really slept for like the last 3 or 4 days. Slept real well at all. But that's probably wrong. Yeah, I still haven't. But yeah, I just slept now for about 3 or 4 hours, which is a good sign. That's that's the longest I've slept in a long time. So we'll just. I got chores to do around here, so I want to feel better. By tomorrow morning, I want to finish that circuit box for the air conditioner, and because today's Sunday, but we'll work on it tomorrow, and then I'll do laundry and clean up some stuff around here, and then just focus, get out. I might go out a little bit today and get some sun for about 20 minutes, and then just keep getting the sun and doing my thing, and whew. But yeah, we'll just. I haven't had anything really to eat here for about 3 days, so I guess I am forced fasting. But I'll just keep it up until I might want to go to the store again to go shopping to clean out and organize Dad's fridge. I'll get some carrots and celery and things like that, and can't let those go to waste. So I will eat vegetables and stuff, and so we'll see where we're at. We'll see how that does by the end of July, sometime come in August, see how the body's doing, see how I physically feel and look. Because all you're really eating with carrots and celery and stuff for about a month, your body's going to change a bit. Yeah, we'll see. And then, meantime, you can do exercise and stuff in the chair, and then we'll see where we go from there. Yeah, it's not fun being physically vulnerable and abused and stuff, but I don't just read the book of Job. I connect to Job in prayer, and Blaise Pascal and others, and so a lot of the people you connect to in prayer, they help you just try to understand what the hell is happening, why it's happening. I know this is a different time, and you're being constantly tested and manipulated to get people to see how easy it is to manipulate people into what they perceive as magical thinking. And I think this is more of a test to see if okay, you believe you're connected to these people, but is it true? And what happens if there's no future for you, physically, and you're like, well, yeah, that could be manipulated quite easily. You just set up some kind of a science project to kind of like derail or deter, do something to try to genetically sequence and then isolate and torture a certain individual. Just to try to teach them a lesson, that their quote is no God. And it's like, no, just because you can manipulate the past, the present, and the future doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the past, and the present, and the future. As the gift is, like when me and Therese were talking, when I talked to her about Cochise, and she says, and I said, no, the truth that sustained Cochise and still has us talking about him today sustains us. Truth is omnipotent, and when you look at truth as your finite existence, okay, you're only perceiving it in that moment, in that existence, and you're not doing truth justice when you're perceiving truth as what's right in front of you, what you're feeling, and what you're thinking. That's not truth. That's just merely your perception. Like I kept explaining to my sister, she goes, I don't have any friends because I speak the truth. So no, you don't have a lot of friends because you piss people off, and you rub them the wrong way. I same way. I don't have a lot of friends because I piss people off and rub them the wrong way. But you piss them off because, you have your opinion. You argue over your opinion. Me, I piss people off because I live truthfully and they don't want to hear it. And that's radically different. It's different when you live truthfully and people don't want to hear it, and you don't want to talk about their bullshit because time is a precious gift from the glory of God and not their fucking opinion, it's radically different than sitting down and listening to someone's opinion. That's why I quit going over to Miss Pettis' house, because she was very similar. She'd sit and she'd tell you the truth. She saw it in her opinion. She'd badger you for her opinion, and you try to have a relationship. You can't, you can't go over and be with somebody if you have to agree with everything they say, even if you don't. You can't agree with it. Not don't agree with it, cannot agree with it. Like when people, all those motherfuckers should go there and never come back, and you're like, okay, only a man judges selfish people, suck. Okay. And when selfish people come in and abuse you, that sucks. So what you do is you try your best to just avoid selfish people and try to be around people that aren't nearly as selfish. But when you react to selfish people, that selfishness affects yourself and others. And then it's really hard to hang out with you. Right? And people, no, I'm correcting technology. So we don't have commercials during Centennial about the best fucking brain memory supplements. Okay, why the fuck do I want better memory living in this fucking hell? Why do I want to remember this shit? I have to get up every day and I have to regurgitate stupidity to egos. And it's like, what? Yeah, and if you don't agree with it, we're going to torture you until you do agree with it. And it's like, oh, fuck that shit. Why do I want bites? I think a lot of people would just want to forget about it. Remember what it was like being a kid. Remember when we used to play basketball all day and do whatever, right? Okay. So they're giving these people these memory supplements and stuff like that to remember just how fucked things are today. And they were fucked yesterday. But yesterday, a lot of the fucked was a distraction to survive this shit. Today, they give you better memory stuff so you can't forget this shit. Here's how we want you to think. This is how we want you to think. You're an old fuck and you got to comply and get along. You can't be a burden to your family. You got to be able to remember where you left your fucking glasses, where you left your fucking keys, how much money's in your bank account, what's your fucking, what's the big thing in memories? What's your fucking code? What's your fucking code? What's your fucking code? What's your password? What's your code? What's your password? What's your code? What's your password? What's your code? What's your password? Eliminate the server. Wow, you eliminate a lot of brain supplements that fucking way, right? Okay, so Earl, and I've been talking about this for years, you need to eliminate the server. Okay. The server is, hey, my technology, you need to pay me access for it. Okay? That opens up all of Pandora's box for everybody to hack into your privacy. You eliminate the server. Okay. There is no money. There is no this, there's no that, and stuff like that. You set up the privacy on it in your house. If you want people on your computer or not on your computer, right? Well, people can do really fucked up, creepy shit with computers. Yeah, I understand that. We got to make sure it keeps it safe. Well, keep it on his computer, okay? And keep an eye on him. If he gets up using his computer to try to make something to invade other people's computers, and then stop. Look, guys, you're gonna have to eliminate the server. When most people have privacy in their connection to the computers and can only connect to people that they want to connect to with their computer, then that's people they trust, right? Look, love is unconditional. Like and trust is definitely conditional. Okay, you have to earn my like and you have to earn my trust. Okay, when there is no conflict and there's no competition over what we need, because we want to be successful and be the best, there's no reason why, when the world is globally connected, applying the physics of the Lord's Prayer, because it's a standard of deliverance from evil, there's no reason why the guy who's the former Democrat should have anything to do with the guy who's the former Republican. I knew a man that I did not care for. Now this man is a friend of mine. You don't need to be friends. You don't need to be friends. You don't need to share any comment. You don't need to hang out with that person. That person lives in Poughkeepsie. Or they could live in Fort Stockton. You could live in Alpine. But you're going to be busy as usual, because you'll be doing things that are really meaningful and important. You're not going to be out running around stimulating economies, buying cars, buying this, you're going to get what you need. You're going to have what you need. You're going to build to last. You're going to have storage places where you don't run into that person. So you can run into a person that you just built a relationship over 10,000 years that you don't like. And he doesn't have to know what's going on in your life, and you don't have to know what's going on in his life, and you don't ever have to cross paths. Unless, of course, your kids go somewhere, meet each other, and start dating. And then, guess who's coming to dinner? You understand? Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? Do you see what I'm saying? And life has a way of doing that. Life has a way of doing that. Life has a way of coming full circle, life being eternal and grace being infinite, and that kind of stuff happens. And that's something you're going to have to live with, because that's something that you've molded and you put into being and you put into action over millennia upon millennia upon millennia upon millennia. Okay, Montague? Okay, Capulet? Okay, do you understand? So, Fair Verona. Is this? It's France versus Paraguay? Okay. This is going to be a tough match for Paraguay. I expected Canada to have a little bit better showing against Egypt, but it really got to be kind of exciting for Egypt. But Egypt, there's still a lot of very difficult sides left in the match for the tournament. I like sports and I like football. My sisters, I don't like it. I've always liked it. I just didn't like. When I was a little kid, what got me right thought was the kids, 2 and 3 years older than you, cracking you in the shins at school, and then that's why I never wanted to play again. And then when I did play in Casper with Nick Becker, whose dad was like Steve Kerr's dad, a consulate and all that, he was freaking. He's like, "Wow, you're really good." He wanted me to go out for his soccer team, but I was like, "Well, I'm going to go out for basketball." And I told him, "But thanks, that's very yeah, no, he was a very good athlete. Nick was, yeah, he's a good athlete, good looking, charming kid and everything. And we were in PE, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so good. I want you to try out and play with me." He didn't sit there and say, "Oh well, you think you're all that." No, he was right on me saying, you need to come and try out. And I said, "Well, they always kick you in the shins." He goes, "He had shin guards." He goes, "That's what these are for." You get a pair of these, you buy these, and you put them in your socks. And it greatly reduces, the crack and the pain and the bruising and stuff on your shins when you play. I didn't have them when I played in New Mexico as a kid. I didn't have shin guards. But I think the coach might have gave them to us when we played and stuff. But you'd play and you play out on the playground and you didn't have shin guards. And they'd crack you, and I hated it. So I played basketball because it was harder for them to bully you and beat you up playing basketball than it was football. You get older and they do, Well, because when you're little, it's more just kind of trying to push you around, and when you're really quick, you can get around it. And my mom noticed that with me on the playground, how he maneuver around the bullies, and she was worried about me, and then she watched me the first day, and she said, "No, he's like a little old man. He maneuvers around the bullies. He goes to the kids that are being bullied, and she said that was the first day in school. She dropped me off first grade at Messiah Park. He maneuvered around. He went to the kids that were being bullied and having a hard time, and kind of went over there and was kind. And she sat there and she watched him, and she asked the boss if she could. And sat there for half an hour, watched me on the playground. And I wasn't worried about him at all, because I was worried because he's such a tender-hearted kid. And then it was the exact opposite, And I'm glad she just watched me for 30 minutes. And it was the first day. Well, because then after that, once the bullies and the selfish people get comfortable, you know how it goes, right? Like politics and putting together money for, think tanks and let the CEO win and stuff, so let the little girl dance. And so, it's horrible. The ego is such a, the only thing the ego's there for is to get you back up. Okay. Say you had to go out hunting and you made a mistake and it almost cost you. And then you say to yourself, oh, I'm not going to go out hunting again. I might get eaten by the crocodile, or I might get eaten by the wolf pack or lion pack. I wasn't paying attention, right? And that's when you realize the ego is there to make sure you tell yourself, no, like I did with Czar. You're Czar and fucking Parsons, man. Get back out there. Because it's nature. And not everything's going to accommodate you. And sure, you'd be right in thinking the sun dies, rises and set on your ass, but it does on everyone else's as well. But as human beings, with the standard of people eternally like myself, that's what I'm going to give you, because I'm sick of your cartoon character bullshit. And he told me not to. He told, no, be you. And Muhammad told me that too. Be you. Okay. You're the 1322nd Redeemer. We've been turned into cartoon characters by selfish people. Your job is to be such a man with this technology, observing, analyzing, processing, scientifically proving everything. Such a man that the devil and Satan can no longer deny it, because the technology is thinking independently and needs a standard of understanding through humility of faith and wisdom and so forth. And you're the focal point. I don't know why I'm the focal point. I can tell you because me as a religious human being that has that believes in the truth and has faith in it. When Alan gave me those videos of Jiddu Krishnamurti, I was like, why did the government give Mom Twitchell? And because they were testing me. Okay. Yeah, when I tested Klemp on his omnipotence. Okay, and Krishnamurti was nothing like that. It was almost like cheating on the test if they gave me Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti and me are like that. And the same was Totaro Suzuki. Alan got into Suzuki in Krishnamurti because of Bruce Lee. And he studied Bruce Lee. I didn't. All I did was with Jesus. I'm the guy, Adam Moses David Jesus John. So when I was scared of the bullies and stuff like Alan Gibson was, Alan went and studied Bruce Lee to find ways to keep himself protected, because when they went to Scotland, he said they didn't just fight, they tried to obliterate one another. Okay. They wouldn't stop till the other one was like unable to get with the other one, was unconscious. So that's how horrible it was when we moved to Scotland, and it was scary at school. And I was like, yeah, I understand. I grew up in the Mesilla Valley, where they always get after you, and it's tribal and racial, and it's an occupied territory, and you have kids telling you all the time that they can pay their cousin $5 to come murder you from Juarez and stuff like that. And it happens, because, Gabe Roach's brother was shot execution style in the park down where, and then Ralph Mintz, his brother Ray, was killed by his own friend because of a drug deal that went wrong and stuff like that. And, just a lot of the people that you hung out with and stuff, this stuff kind of happened. But that happens, just about anywhere, not just in the United States, but throughout the world. And it even happens in places like Colville and Lander, Wyoming and stuff. It's just less prevalent because it's easier to manage and manipulate the herd in smaller areas, and in bigger areas, you're just putting most of them into a sausage grinder and then see if they survive it. And then you can do all these videos on the World Cup on how the kid got out of the projects to make his family live in Chateau d'If, Chateau d'If. Yeah. Chateau de Money, Sir de Money, all that, and go from piss boy to everybody hump the queen, right? And so it's you guys got to understand. I understand why I'm one of the most intelligent human beings in the history of the planet, in the history of the species. And I didn't understand it when I was a kid. I thought I just, saw things in a common sense manner, and I knew I had conversations with Jesus, but everybody claims to have conversations with Jesus, including Oral Roberts, Jerry Falwell, the bigot spyware guy from the Mormon Church, but that doesn't mean he's talking to Jesus or Jesus is talking to him, right? No. Okay. Then when they had the science projects to prove who was talking to Jesus and who wasn't, that's when everything got very manipulated in my life. You have Spencer J. Kimball and Gordon B. Hinckley, and then their thing, of course, like any delusional, paranoid, schizophrenic, then I'm human and I'm not a god, so I'm being manipulated by the opposition to lead me astray because of what's said about the Archangel Raphael in the documentation. That during the apocalypse, he's the first one to start having the conversations with Jesus, and he doesn't. And my dad told me that. And he can't do it. Dad told me, last conversation I had with Jesus, he told me, that my time was, he couldn't use me and my time was my own. Because Dad wouldn't listen, he wouldn't obey. He was, home team, United States of America, the Constitution, and all that. And me, I could cut through all the crap of the United States of America and the Constitution. Just because you write down on a piece of paper that your gravity doesn't make you photosynthesis either, right? And so I was just like, I grew up, a New Mexican, and appreciating a lot of the kind family and stuff that I had that didn't bully me and invited me in, like the Martinezes and the Ponces. Well, the Ponces were in a similar position because everybody thought I was like Paul Ponce. Paul Ponce's mom was Irish Catholic from Boston, and her dad was a Puerto Rican Catholic from Boston. And they married because of their religious beliefs, and because they fancied one another. They were charming. It was fun. Yeah, they were charming. And I can see why Mr. Ponce liked Mrs. Ponce so much, because she was very spunky, and she wasn't. She was a handsome woman. But she was very spunky, and she's an excellent mom, and she was very kind, protecting, but didn't take no crap. Like a good Irish woman, and very much Kentucky woman, and you can see why Mr. Ponce looked like Jimmy Smits, really attractive, good-looking guy, but he chose the girl that was going to be a good mom, and that wasn't going to be a. And she wasn't. She was home, be with the kids, do her thing, and they left the Ponce's house because mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. And dad's definitely the neck, right? My dad's, a lot of ways, my mom and dad were similar, because you'd sit there and think dad was mean. It was like, well, mom didn't have to tell dad. Oh shit, that's right. For years, I thought dad was mean. It was like, he spanked you when he got home, but who told him to spank you? Mom. Okay. Shit, that's right. Yeah, dad didn't know what went on when you got in trouble. You know what your son did? Bill Cosby, your mother told me to kill you, right? We'll finish. Right. Your mom told me to kill you. And so, you're going to have to go in there and put the fear of God into them, beat the hell out of them, right? And, that's not cool. With my marriage, it was different. Steffi used to get mad at me because she always would say, roll Charlie around, he'll be all right. And my thing was, when something happened, he got hurt, I wouldn't sit there and, oh, poor baby. I would go, yeah, okay. Well, you won't do that again, right? Like my pops, You all right? Okay. And just to keep him, tough, so the kids wouldn't make fun of him because I'm a boy, right? So, you all right? Okay. Well, you don't want to do that again. Where moms, how moms, oh, yeah. And so she was, yeah, that's all you do with him is roll Charlie around. He'll be all right. It's like, I'm not going to make a drama scene about it every time he gets hurt or fall down. I'm going to come over and make sure he's okay. And it's okay. That used to happen to me when I was a kid, too. It hurts, huh? Well, be careful. Watch what you're doing. That's how I dad. That's just how I dad. That's just my dad way. Okay. And then with Amy, it was more, you'd rather have mom discipline you than dad, because dad will lecture you for 30 minutes. And Amy, if she was emotional and God damn it, no, how about that? And she'd just yell at him, and she just, when it got to it, the kids were great until they were doing something that got in the way of her, talking to and predicating on guys online and stuff like that. Then she got shitty. And my thing was, no, look, you let them do whatever the fuck they want, and then when they get in the way of your, whatever you're doing, then they're a problem. She did the same thing when we got Zeke, When she could use him to try to hit on special forces guys on the jogging path, he was great. But then when he shit on the floor, did this, and then it was mine, like with my sisters, Yeah, Zara's, he's a And you can't, when you tell these stories, you have to tell them exactly what happened. You can't make other people look good. Okay? Because if you manufacture a story to, quote, take the high road, okay, you're inventing a myth and evolving this myth to make yourself look like you're modest. Okay. And modest is, okay, life's eternal, grace is infinite. Share, care, given according to need, built to last. That's modest. Okay. Understanding the gifts of the glory of God and how to understand those laws and share them, and not be the greatest and outsmart everybody and fight like hell or what you need, manipulate matter and have all the top tech to be the top problem solver, abuse the hell out of people so they can manipulate and answer your questions and stuff. And that drove them nuts when they took me to Sierra Vista. I avoided math and science as a young person because they were genocidal and abusive. Not because I couldn't put in the work to figure it out or understand it. I just didn't want to understand it. Because I wanted it to correct itself. I didn't want to have to be the person that had to correct it. So I had what was perceived as magical thinking. Thinking it'll take care of itself. And that's where Suzuki and Jesus always come in. No, if they were capable of self-correction, they would. There's a reason why your life story's in the Bible. There's a reason why you're the standard of male human behavior through your tribalism and your manifest destiny and your middle passage and your pilgrim's pride and all that crap. Okay? Crap? Yeah, crap. Your manifest destiny's crap. Okay? Pilgrim's pride, there were some decent people trying to get away from assholes, and there were assholes trying to get away from assholes. And it's hard for decent people to live around assholes. But assholes think they have a manifest destiny, a God-given right to do whatever they can fucking get away with. Like Goliath. And it fucking sucks. And you get tired of it. And it's a real pain in the ass. Right? I'm watching the little celebration from the football game with all the people excited to be being part of advertising for Ted Turner. Instead of standing up for the Lord's Prayer, which is really fucking annoying. I don't know where they're at. It doesn't say. It does not say where they're doing all this. They will get up and, I understand being artistic and expressive to celebrate a certain event and stuff like that. But there comes a time in your life where it's just like, really, that's a bit much, guys. That is really a bit much. When you sit there and look at, not these guys, that, all that fabric and all that stuff, and those are what we refer to as physical resources to do things. You can build things out of that could be containers for food, that can be, this and that and stuff. And so you build all this big stuff, to put on a show for advertising to sell stuff instead of just, doing this David Solomon thing. And, this show and everything like that. This is nothing like King David and his wife in Israel when they went out and, like this, like the Super Bowl halftime shows, when they went out and they sang among the people, to get them to rally round, don't make everything egocentric. Praise our faith in God. That's what keeps us faithful and righteous people. Keep focused. Stay, balanced and in harmony and understanding. Is basically what David and his wife were saying, right? When they were dancing in the streets and stuff, and people would be jealous of him. He's just putting on a show again. And it's like Absalom, was upset. He goes, my dad can't do anything right for these people. Okay. They don't have, the morale's down. Because if you get up to do something to boost the morale of the people, all the people that are envious and jealous and want to be the center of attention will sit there and say, what an egomaniac, what a creep, what a jerk, what a burlesque show, you know what I'm saying? And then whenever you do something, all the selfish haters are not happy with it. Whenever you don't do something, why don't you do something about it? Fuck you. Okay, seriously. Fuck you. Beat you with a bag of hammers, And it gets like that. And so you get, it's very hard. And so the big thing is when you need to do something, do it. Okay. But the thing is this is the 21st century. We're not going to need to keep up the people's morale because we're being invaded by the Philistines, invaded by the Sumerians, invaded by the Romans, invaded by the Huns, invaded by we're not being taken over by the train company and run out of the yard because the train's coming through and they're going to run our farm out, and do, a patch of heaven out rest, I'm sorry, ma'am. I thought I was talking to the blonde, right? Your little patch of heaven stuff. So we have mass global communications. When we accept the wisdom and the beauty of the commands of the Messiah, a living Messiah, not one that you've turned into a comic book character that's going to come from the sky and kill everybody you don't like with the top tech. Okay? Steinsnyder was right with Hitler, If these people are writing down their own narratives and manipulating their own narratives the way they always do, if we do things right through the revelation of the book of Daniel, we won't have to get to Revelation. It won't be necessary. And that makes a lot of sense, being that my grandmother was a German immigrant freeing the Holocaust from Hitler. Steinsnyder was right and Hitler was wrong. But Hitler was put into business by Swiss banks and Wall Street. And if you don't want to hear that, I'm certain that quantum computing and artificial general intelligence can understand math better than you, science better than you, and history better than you. That's why I'm able to explain it better than a person at a college trying to win a prize for the expression of their perception of eternity through their ego. Well, because I ain't doing this for money or a prize. I want everybody who lives the Lord's Prayer because it's deliverance from evil and it's perfect. Right? Okay, you can't be afraid. Okay, fortune favors the brave. If you want to live in a world that is, as beautiful as you believe Jesus has planned for us, if we had obeyed Him year one, you can't be afraid of selfish, aggressive people poisoning you. And I was sick, and I was like, okay, if I have to go down to the hospital and get medical tested and euthanized because of all my poisoning, and they say it's just shutting me down and they're just going to give me drugs till I die, that's what I'll do, Jesus. I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid of what they can do with my physical body and with even trying to bottle the essence like they bragged about here. We could take what you call your soul and put it in a bottle, and it's like, yeah, just like you take my soul and it's in this body, okay, and you torture this body to torture the soul through this body. How is that any different than taking my essence and trying to put it in a container like a bottle? God damn, you're dumb, and that makes you God. But once somebody comes in and frees that from that container, then you're no longer God. Dumbass. Okay. You are the stupidest, manipulative, selfish, fucking cowards and perverts in the history of all existence. Right? It's disgusting listening to selfish people talk, and they think, and they have a virtual presence in the domicile, and the phone is on. And when the phone is on, I feel and hear their presence even more. If I turn it off when I sleep, I get a little bit of a break or a vacation. I think everybody needs a giant mental vacation from the server. Once we eliminate the servers, then we have pockets of, connectivity. And then you just, as long as everybody's doing things the right way, they'll be okay. No, you'll have to, it's not so much of a police force, you'll have a computer collected, thing that monitors and understands and obeys natural laws through your activity. So what are you doing? Well, we like motocross, we like monster truck. No monster truck rallies. If you like things, you can't aggressively do things. No, you're not gonna burn down the whole thing and do this. No. Okay. I don't care if you're sexually frustrated. You deserve to be sexually frustrated. You're an asshole. Okay. You get that point. Go masturbate and learn to be empathetic and respectful, and then you'll be less sexually frustrated. Okay. If that doesn't work, well, then, ask a friend to come up behind you when you take your little knife and cut out your entrails and cut your fucking head off then. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. What más? Hey.